Yes, Formula 1, the sports where billion-dollar engineers fight physics, drivers fight each other, and Ferrari occasionally fight its own strategy team.
Box now, box for hard. Stay out.
This is the sports that gave us intense rivalries, terrifying crashes, last lap chaos.
Austin sees him coming. It's a late lunge by Verstappen, who takes the lead of the race. Verstappen now snatches the championship trophy from Lewis Hamilton.
But Formula 1 isn't racing. It's politics, drama, engineering wars, billion-dollar gambles, and sometimes entire team showing up and saying, yeah, we are winning everything. Good luck everyone else. Mercedes in 2024. 8 constructor titles, 7 driver championships, absolute suffering for the rest of the grid. Today we are diving into the wild,
That's what you get when you don't leave the space.
chaotic, hilarious,
Hello everyone.
sometimes tragic history of Formula 1 and how it created some of the most dominant eras motorsports has ever seen. Buckle up because Formula 1 history is completely insane. Formula 1 didn't just randomly appear one day. It grew out of European racing between the world wars, a time when cars were fast, safety was optional. Plans for a world championship started in the late 1930s. Then World War II happened and motorsport hit pause. Racing returned in 1946 and in 1950 the first official Formula 1 World Championship race took place at Silverstone. Fun fact, technically the first F1 race happened earlier in France. Back then pure chaos. Only some races counted towards championships, other existed purely for vibes. Private drivers literally brought their cars, showed up and raced like it was very expensive Sunday hobby. Professional structure? Not really. Early Formula 1 was ruled by Alfa Romeo, Ferrari, Maserati and eventually Mercedes. And then came Juan Manuel Fangio, a man who collected world championships like rare Pokemon cards. 5 titles, 5 different manufacturers. Completely ridiculous. But those early years were brutally dangerous. In the first decade alone, 13 drivers lost their lives in F1 cars. Safety standards were basically try not to crash. Cars evolved slowly, slightly better engines, slightly wider tires, slightly less terrifying machines. But then Cooper introduced something revolutionary, the rear engine layout. Turns out putting the engine behind the driver makes cars faster. By the 1960s, every team copied it and Formula 1 began evolving faster than ever. The 1960s and 1970s, basically British dominant. Drivers like Jim Clark, Jackie Stewart and Graham Hill took over the sport. British team kept winning championships like it was a national hobby. Then 2 huge changes arrived. Ground effect, aerodynamics, cars sticking to the track and the advertising on cars. The exact moment Formula 1 discovered capitalism. Suddenly teams had a real funding. Cars got faster and unfortunately danger increased too. Drivers were still dying, champions were lost and safety finally became impossible to ignore. Then came Bernie Ecclestone, the man who turned Formula 1 into a global billion-dollar empire. Love him or hate him, but modern Formula 1 exists because of him. The late 90s and 80s, absolute chaos. Team fighting the governing body, race boycotts, threat of breakaway championship, team owners arguing like it was reality TV. Meanwhile, turbo engines arrived, tiny engines, insane power, completely unhinged machine. McLaren dominated with Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna, 2 drivers who were unbelievably fast and extremely competitive with each other.
Championship is going alongside, and the two of them collide.
In 1988, they won 15 out of 16 races. That's not dominance. That's bullying the entire grid.
Someone needs to stand up to a bully like this.
Technology exploded. Electronic driver aids, semi-automatic gearbox, traction control, and the FIA kept trying to slow the cars down because apparently going 350 km per hour wasn't exciting enough. Late 90s and early 2000s, Michael Schumacher and Ferrari took full control. 7 world championships, relentless victories, enough podium celebration to cause champion shortage across Europe. Fans started complaining that the same driver kept winning every week. So the FIA did what they do best, changed the rules twice repeatedly. New engines, new formats, team orders banned. Manufacturer joined, then disappeared, then joined again. Then the 2008 financial crisis hit. Used team vanished almost overnight, and Formula One prepared for one of the biggest technical revolution in its history. In 2014, Formula One introduced hybrid turbo V6 engine, complex, ridiculously advanced, and Mercedes. They had already been preparing for years. After buying Braun GP in 2009, they focused heavily on the upcoming hybrid era while rivals chased short-term success. Their secret weapon, a split turbo design, improving cooling, packaging, and aerodynamics. The result?
World champion! Oh my god!
An absolute rocket ship. Hamilton and Rosberg dominated immediately, and from 2014 to 2021, 8 constructor championships, 7 driver championships, over 100 race wins. Not luck, planning, engineering dominance, and a masterclass in long-term strategy. Ferrari tried fighting back in 2017 and 2018. Then came the insanely controversial 2021 Abu Dhabi final, one of the most dramatic moments in Formula One history.
Oh my god!
Max Verstappen, you are the world champion! The world champion!
New regulations arrived in 2022, new aero rules, new car design, closer racing, and just when Mercedes era ended, Red Bull and Max Verstappen began their own dominant run, because in Formula 1, someone is always winning everything, and just when Red Bull looked unstoppable,
Max Verstappen wins the Belgian Grand Prix, wins the Hungarian Grand Prix. Max Verstappen wins 10 Grand Prix in a row.
Formula 1 started getting interesting again. 2024 saw multiple teams closing the gaps. McLaren surged forward with huge development gains. Ferrari remained incredibly fast and occasionally incredibly confusing. Mercedes slowly rebuilt, experimenting, adapting, and searching for consistency. Then 2025 arrived, and suddenly the grid looked more competitive than it was in years. More podium contenders, unpredictable races, young driver rising, veterans fighting back. Grid was no longer predictable, and for fans, chaos returned, and chaos is peak entertainment. So from dangerous beginning to the political wars to turbo madness, hybrid domination, and now a new competitive grid, Formula 1 has never been just racing. It's engineering warfare, psychological battles, massive financial gambles. We have seen Mercedes build an empire, Red Bull take the throne, and now the sport is heading towards one of the biggest change yet, because in 2026 new engine regulations arrive, more electrical power, sustainable fuel, new manufacturer entering the sports, and potentially an entirely new dominant era waiting to be born. Will current champions stay on the top? Will a sleeping giant return? Or will a completely new team rewrite Formula 1 history all over again? Because if there is one thing we have learned, dominance never lasts forever, and that's exactly why we keep watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, subscribe for more insane F1 history, storytelling, and motorsport chaos, and tell me in the comment which Formula 1 era was the most entertaining. See you in the next one.